Hi there ladies and gents, and welcome to my next Divi tutorial. First of all, I just want to thank you for taking your time out of your day to watch this tutorial. I hope it will be helpful for you. I hope you'll learn something in this tutorial, and I hope it makes working with Divi much easier for you. Then just to explain what this video is about, so I'm going to show you how to make your fonts responsive on all screen sizes, meaning that there's just a few lines of code we're going to put in the custom CSS, and you will not actually have to mess with the font sizes in the Divi builder. So if you go into the text modules, you won't have to change the sizes between screen sizes there, and it will be more responsive on all screen sizes compared to just putting it in on the three devices you get in Divi, which is desktop, tablet, and mobile. And I've seen a few Facebook posts in Divi groups where people are having difficulty with making Divi responsive, and this is one method of making, and I'm just referring to the font here, that making the fonts responsive on all screen sizes, and it's just a little bit of code that you're going to put in, and you won't have to touch the font sizes. If you're new to Divi and you're just checking out these videos because you want to see what Divi can do and you are interested in getting Divi, then please check the link in the description. I do have a link to Divi there. And also, if you need web hosting or a domain name, also I've got a link to Green Geeks in the description. Please check out that link, and their pricing is very good. And guys, just to be upfront with you, that if you do purchase Divi or hosting or domain names through the links I provide in the description, I will receive a commission, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. It just helps me and my channel out. So I think let's move on to this tutorial. I'll be able to explain what's happening better as I go through this tutorial. So the first thing we want to do, so this would be ideal for when before you start building websites, to set this all up. But obviously, if you're watching this tutorial and you've already built your website and you're having issues with the responsiveness of your fonts, then what I would suggest you do is follow this tutorial, but go into all your text modules and take out all the values you've set for desktop, tablet, and mobile, and then carry on with this tutorial, because you will have to remove all those values you've set there in order for this to work. But if you're first starting a website, then you can just follow me exactly as I'm doing here. The first thing you'd normally do is come over to Divi, come over to Theme Customizer. You then go to General Settings, go to Typography, and you'd scroll down here, and you'd set your heading font. For my header font, I'm using Roboto, and the body font, I'm using Open Sans. Yeah, you'd obviously have to set your header font and your body font. Okay, so that's what you do first. So I'm just going to click out of there. And then the next thing we do is we come over to Pages, and we'd create a new page. And I'm just going to call this Responsive Fonts. You can call it whatever you want. And once we've set this all up, you can delete this page or you can keep it. It's up to you. But yeah, we just want to get all our fonts on a page, and then I'll show you what we're going to do once we've done that. So let's click this option to use a Divi builder. All right, we then are presented with these three options, and we're going to choose this option to build from scratch. We're only going to need a single column row, so let's select that option. And we're going to need the text module. So let's type in text and select the text module. So this content we can leave in, because this we can use as our paragraph text. So yeah, we want to list all the different fonts we're going to use, and it's normally going to be your heading fonts, your paragraph fonts, list items, and your anchor links or your anchor tags, and your link text. So let's start with the heading one. So I'm just going to type something to the effect, and you can type anything here. We just want to get some text out there so we can set the sizes for them. So for heading 1, I will type something like, this is for heading 1. Something to that effect. And then I would just copy this, go to a new line and paste it, and then just change this to 2, and go to the next line, paste it again, and change this to 3, and so on. I'm just going to go up to heading 3. I normally only use 3 or 4 headings in my website build, but if you use more, you can go up to heading 6 if you want to. Then I'm going to leave this as paragraph text, and then we can come to a new line. We can make a link text, something like that. This is a link, and then I'll make the word link a hyperlink. So we do that by clicking our chain icon there. I'm just going to put a hash in there and click OK, and it will make it a link. Then the next thing we have is things like lists. So we can just say this is list item 1, and then just make this a bullet list, and we do that by clicking this icon over here. And then we can copy this, push enter, and we'll make 3 list items, and with this one we'll call list item 3, list item 2. So that's normally all the fonts we would have set. So sorry, let's just change this as well. I need to change this to a heading 1, this to a heading 2, and this to a heading 3. So now we have all our fonts. And maybe something we want to do, just to check the line height, we can make this go to a next line, just so we can see what it would look like if your heading took up 2 lines. Okay, you can see they're kind of close together there. So, and guys, just make sure when you push enter, sorry, I forgot, I should have mentioned this. So if you like that, make sure you push shift enter, so it goes to the next line. If you just push enter, you'll see, do you see the difference? If you just push enter, the gap is wider there compared to if you push shift enter. And you want to push shift enter so that we can set the true line height of this. Now, let me show you what you'd normally do when working with Divi. You click on this edit button, and I'm just going to show you on the heading 1 font. You know you now are editing the heading 1 font because that's highlighted. You then come over to heading text size here. You'd hover over it and you click this phone icon to get your 3 different views, which is desktop, tablet, and phone. So for desktop, I'm going to make this 60 pixels. And this is just for the heading 1 font. For heading 2, not heading 2, for the desktop, I'm going to make this maybe 40 pixels. And then for phone, I'll probably make this something like 28 pixels. And that's how you'd set it up in Divi. So let's save this. Then I just want to copy this over here and just open it in a new tab. So we have the front end to have a look at. Okay, and that's how it's look. On our heading 1 font, I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose to inspect this element. And here we'll see, if I just open this, here is our heading 1 font. And you'll see we've got it set. If I go down here, so no matter, sorry guys, I just want to actually detach this. I think this will be a better view. Okay, so if we go down here to font size, you'll see we set it at 60 pixels. So that's all fine. But I just want to quickly go on to the device toolbar here, toggle that, and I want to set this to responsive. And this is normally on 1366 pixels is normally like a laptop. And let me just get the inspect tool up here. And if we look at the font size, it's still 60 pixels. But then you might get screens of, I think there's ones of 1280 pixels wide. And this is not really responsive. So at 1280 pixels, go to font size, still 60 pixels. So it's not truly responsive. It should actually, as you go down in screen size, the font should get smaller and smaller and smaller. But you also remember we're using pixels here, which makes it a fixed value. Then if we go to a tablet view, which is normally about 768 pixels wide, you'll see that our font size is now at the 40 pixels we set. But then you also get tablets that are like 800 pixels wide. And again, this font size never changes. It's really not responsive automatically. And then if we just go to like a phone, which is normally about 375 pixels, you'll see it's changed to our 28 pixels that we've set. And we'll go to another phone view like 360 pixels, which is not much more smaller. But again, it doesn't adjust according to your screen size. And that's what we want to fix. Okay, so let me close this for now. And let us go back to our front end. I'm going to now remove all these font sizes I've set and just get it back to how it originally was without setting any font sizes. And this is what you want to do if you've already set font size on all your text modules. You want to go into each text module and delete all the font sizes from the different views and make sure it's in its original state. And what we're going to do, I'm going to come here into advanced. I'm still under the text module setting. I'm going to come into CSS ID and classes, and under class here, I'm just going to put a class here of DG. And you can put anything there you want. The reason I put DG is because my channel is called divigeek, so it's just D for Divi, G for geek. You can put whatever your website name is and just abbreviate it like I've abbreviated it. So there you can put anything, but make sure where I put DG, you use the class name you've set. And then we can save this. And then we can exit the Visual Builder. And we can go back to our dashboard. We then want to hover over Divi and then choose theme options. And then we can scroll down right to the bottom where we get this custom CSS option. And we're going to put our custom CSS in this section over here. So actually before we write our custom CSS here, I just want to come back here and this paragraph text here, I just want to inspect it quickly. And if we come down here, the font size is 14 pixels. And the reason it's 14 pixels is because that's how Divi sets the font size. All paragraph text are 14 pixels. But let's change this. I'm just going to come to the element style here. I'm going to change the font size to something called 1 rem. And you'll see it got a bit bigger. And the reason I'm using rem is because this is what we're going to use to set we're going to use rem to set our font sizes, not pixels. And you'll see it's changed the font size to 16 pixels. So that means 1 rem equals 16 pixels. So what would 2 rem equals? If 1 rem equals 16 pixels and we go 2 rem, it's 16 times 2. And you'll see our font's got it even bigger there. And so it would equal 32 pixels. And you'll see there the font size is 32 pixels. And so on it goes. So because we're using rem and I want to make this much easier, we want to set 1 rem to be 10 pixels. And that just will make the maths much easier to work with. And you'll see what I mean in a short while. So instead of 1 rem being 16 pixels, I'm going to make 1 rem 10 pixels. And how do we do that? We come to our theme options here under our custom CSS. We're going to target HTML. We're going to open our curly braces and we're going to set the font size to 62.5%. And that's just what it is. This is what I've got this from another website. And it's just easier mathematically to work in 10s than to work in 16s. I hope that makes sense. So let's just save the changes. Let's go to the front end again. I'm going to refresh. I'm going to open this up again in Inspect. And we type in here, font size is 1 rem. You'll see the font size now equals 10 pixels and not 16 pixels. So that's the first thing we want to do. We want to set all the text in our HTML document to 62.5%. So that's the first line of code we're going to use. Then let's do the heading 1 first. So if you remember, we gave it a class. So for class, we put a dot or period or whatever people call it. And our class, I use DG. You'll use whatever you use. And we're going to open curly braces. Now to get our font sizes, what we're going to do, we're going to come to a website called Fluid Responsive Font Size Calculator. And I have left a link of this website in the description. So you can click on that link to get to this page. And there's a few things we need to change in this box that has this green background. First thing, we're not working in pixels, we're working in rem. So we're going to select that. The selector we're going to leave as root. The property we're going to leave as font size. The range, we'll come to this shortly. The viewport, this is where we want to set our viewport, so the width of our screens. So it starts with a smaller screen, and I normally use 360 pixels. So I put in there 36. And the reason I put in 36 and not 360 is because we're working with rem now. And if you remember, 1 rem equals 10 pixels. So 36 times 10 equals 360. And in here, the highest viewport I work with is 1920. So I'm going to put in here 192. And that, again, because we're using rem, 192 times 10 is 1920. So guys, just remember that mathematics there. And that's why I've set the font to 62.5% to make it easier to calculate. It's easier to times it by 10 than to times it by 16. Okay, so that's that done. And then the CSS method we're going to use is called clamp. And this options we can just leave as Safari Fix. So now we get to this range part. And here we're dealing with our heading 1 first. Here we want to insert what we want to the font size to be on this smaller screen size, which is 36 rem or 360 pixels. So I think in my last example, I used 40 pixels. So yeah, I'm going to put just 4 because we're working in rem. So 4 times 10 is 40. And then for my largest size, which under the 1920 pixels or 192 rem, I want it to be 60 pixels. But because we're working in rem, I'm going to use just 6. 6 times 10 is 60. You then scroll down and it gives you some of this code here. And we're going to ignore the root, the curly braces. We're going to ignore this min height, and we're going to ignore this closing curly brace. So we're just going to take the font size property here and the code that goes with it with the calculation. We can copy that, come to our custom CSS and just paste it in there. And so guys, we need to actually set the H1 tag there. So just remember it's your class and the H1 tag. So let's save those changes. Let's go to the front end. And before I refresh, let's just inspect again. So it's the heading 1 here. And you'll see it's got a font size of 30 pixels. And that's what Divi sets heading 1 font at. So it's 30 pixels, right? So let's do a hard refresh. Now you'll see my font is much bigger. If I open up the inspect tool, there you'll see is our code we've just put in our custom CSS. And over here, if we go to font size, you'll see it's at 60 pixels, which is the 6 rem. 6 times 10 is 60 pixels, okay? So let's make this responsive now. Let me select this device toolbar. Let me first go to, let's just go to a laptop screen, which is 1366 pixels. Let's open inspect and let's go to font size. Now it sits at 52 pixels. So it actually is getting smaller as the screen gets smaller. So do you see what I mean by it is automatically responsive? It doesn't stay at 60 pixels. The size actually comes down as your viewport width comes down. So I hope that's making sense, guys. So let's go to the other size I used was 1280 pixels. Let's look at the font size. Now it's 51 pixels. So as the screen gets smaller, your font size reduces. And it is automatically responsive. You won't have to touch now anything in the Divi Builder because we've set this code here, and this will be for anything that you give a class of DG and you target the heading 1 tag. It will always have this rule here of the font size being between 4 rem and 6 rem. So I hope I'm making sense there. I know this can maybe be a bit hard to wrap your head around, but I hope it's making sense that you see that as we go smaller, the font size reduces. Let's have a look at a tablet. Now the font size is 45 pixels. And if we just go to a phone, and our lowest viewport we set was 360 pixels. You'll see now our font size is exactly at 40 pixels. And if we had a bit of a bigger phone, like let's say 375, our font size is just a bit bigger at 40.1923 pixels. So see how responsive this is, and it's automatic. You don't have to set anything in the Divi Builder under the desktop view, the tablet view, or the mobile view. And another phone size, let's just go a bit bigger, is like 601 pixels. And look at that, the font size has now changed to 43 pixels. So guys, you see how awesome this is and how responsive it is, and this will make all your font responsive. So we can then do this now for everything. So let's just copy that code. I'm going to paste it a few times, and we're just going to change some things out here. So for this, I'm going to make a heading 2. This I'm going to make a heading 3. This I'm going to do a P tag. And if you remember, we also had a link, which is you use an A tag for your anchor link. And we need our list as well, which is a LI. Okay, so you just do it like that. So you, for these others, because these are normally all the same. Your paragraph, your anchor links, and your list items are normally all the same font sizes. Then we don't actually need these others. And then we can just come back to this website and set now for our heading 2. So for heading 2, maybe you want this to be 32 pixels. So that would be 3.2 rem, because 3.2 times 10 is 32. And maybe for the larger screen size, you'd want this like 44 pixels. So we'll make this 4.4 rem, because 4.4 times 10 is 44. Then we can just again come to the bottom here, and again you only want to grab this font size and the code with it, copy it, come to your theme options, and under your CSS here, you can just replace this code with the code we just copied. And we'll go to the front end and look at everything now. I'm just going to do the heading 3. So for heading 3, maybe we want to make it, I don't know, 2.4, and over here something like 3.6. And guys, you can use any numbers you want here. You don't have to copy me here. Whatever works for your website, you'll use here. So again, 3.6 rem is 36 pixels, and then 2.4 rem is 24 pixels. Okay, then we can just again come here. This automatically updates as you change the values here. It automatically updates. Let's again take this font size and all the code, and come to our theme options. And this is for heading 3, so let's replace that code. And then normally for our paragraph text, our link text, and our list items, I normally have it as like 14 pixels on the smaller screen device, so that would be 1.4 rem, and 18 pixels on a larger screen, so that would be 1.8 rem. And then we'll again copy just the font size with that code, and come to our theme options, and just change this code here. And that's it, guys. That's all the code we need, and we've changed out our heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, our paragraph, our anchor links, and our list items. And this is normally all you need. And that's all the code you will need, and you will not have to now touch any of the values in the Divi Builder. So if we come to our front end, let's just maybe take the device toolbar off. And I'm going to do a hard refresh. And there we go. So you can see everything has changed in size now. And maybe I should just mention, the reason I've put these classes in is because I don't want to use the important rule. I try not use that important rule on as much of my CSS as I can. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but that's why I put it in a class like this. If you don't choose a class, you probably have to, you could just, for instance, have that, your H1 with that, but then you'd have to put the important rule there, like that. And I don't like that in my code really, so that's why I give everything classes. And then you just have to add that class to your text modules where you want your font sizes to have all these rules. So let's go back to the front end and let's inspect this again. So let's inspect our heading 2 now. So you'll see there's our CSS we wrote. If we come to font size here, you'll see it's at nearly 44 pixels. And now if we change, let's just switch on our toggle device. And let's just go to 1366 pixels. And let's inspect our heading 2 again. And you'll see it's now changed to 39 pixels. And guys, we can do this for everything. So our heading 3, there's 31. What I'm going to do now, let me actually lock this to the side there. And now we can do this. And you can see how the font changes. Okay, and you'll see. So there we're on about 337 pixels. And if let's look at our text, our paragraph font now, you'll see the font size is 14 pixels. And that's because you'll see our code here, we've set it at 1.4 em. If I go wider, and maybe just watch the font size here, how it increases in size. So there you see it's at like 14.0615. Let's just go a bit bigger. Now it's at 14.67, a bit bigger. Now it's sitting at 15.3, and so on, guys. So that's how we make it automatically responsive. And that refers to these links text, our list items. We can even make it smaller, and you'll see it all fits nicely within the viewport. And then you might want to adjust for line height in that, and all you come do is come under this code and put in a line height, whatever you want it to be, 1.3. I've just left it at 1, and because if I come to the front, it looks okay on 1, but you can adjust it there. If I save the changes, and you can do it for each tag you have, so you can set a line height for each one. Let me just refresh here. And you'll see now my heading 1 has a line height of 1.3. And we can see in the code here as well, line height. Okay, there it sets it at 52 pixels. But you'll see that it's got much more space there. And that you can set over there as well. So guys, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions regarding this, maybe I've lost you somewhere because I haven't explained it properly, please drop a comment in the comment section, or you can send me an email if you want to just discuss it personally. My email address is in the description as well. And then I do hope this was helpful, and it will help you with your future websites where you don't have to worry about the fonts not being responsive. So I just want to thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope it was extremely helpful. And if you want me to show you something else in Divi, maybe you're not sure how it works, maybe there's something you've seen on a website that you want to know if you can do in Divi, please drop the links in the description or send me an email with the links and explain what you want to achieve, and I will try build that. And if that comment gets a lot of likes or there's a lot of suggestions for it, I will then definitely do a video like that. And then, ladies and gents, if you need a website built, you can work with me, and my email address is right at the bottom of the description. You can also go to my website, which I've left in the description, and you can book a free call there. We can just discuss the project and go through things, and, we can work together then to build your website. Then if you've enjoyed this video, please do me a solid favor and please like this video. It just helps with the YouTube algorithm and gets more people to see the video. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you're enjoying the content I'm putting out here, please consider subscribing as well. And that will be it for this video. And until the next tutorial, I'll see you soon. Have a good one. Cheers.